All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Sorry to Bother You show, wherever or however you're listening. We're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm Kashawn Cottle. I'm joined here by the amazing, the wonderful, the stupendous, Mr. Fantastic himself, Dre Pennington.
What up, my boy? We good? It's been a while. We in here though.
Brother, it is so amazing to see you, man. I'm so used to seeing you on Instagram, and seeing you on our podcast now is a little surreal, man.
I know it's hilarious. Usually we get it in one we get talk about sports once a week, but different platform, different opportunities. We're loving this though. We're good.
It's like we're going back to our roots, man, to where we first started.
Exactly, exactly.
But brother, you know how it is when we do our podcast episodes, man. We gotta check in with you. How you feeling mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Talk to me, brother.
Mentally, I'm at about a 7, going through some things, but things are working out. Physically, I am at a 6.5. I gotta lose probably 15, 20 pounds before this wedding is happening. 'Cause, boy, it is, I got about 6 months.
You got me ready for
Really?
the bachelor party, man. Where are we going? Where are we going again? Where are we
Oh, for bachelor party, we're going to good old Vegas,
going?
hang out, kick it, see the sun. I'm in a very cold climate right now, so I need to get in the warm climate. And
When
then
you said when you said we were having the bachelor party in Vegas, I was like, oh goodness, thank you. As long as it's not in Minnesota. Anything to not go there.
guys, I'm not going to put you in a cold weather situation. It's going to be hot here by the time you see me. It's okay. Okay. And then spiritually, I'm always going to be at a 10. God's always blessed me. I thank him every day and, feeling good. What about you? Physically, mentally, spiritually, how we feeling?
Okay, physically, I'm at a 4 right now, but that is because this past Saturday, we played the number one team in the league, and like I was telling you off the air, they were double teaming me, and they put this guy that was like 6'4" on me, and so the physicality was a bit more than I expected, and I got beat up, but we won the game, and I had 21 points, three rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, so it's okay. But my body is hurting. I'm a little sore, but mentally I'm at a 9, so that just cancels out the physicality. So,
Hey, hey, refs, give this man a foul. Call the call.
but you know what though? I can't complain though because I'm averaging 11 free throws a game.
Damn.
11 free throws. So I can't complain. I'm getting the calls. I might flop a little bit, flop,
No,
but
no, 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 no. You're the American. You need to flop a little bit. Let me back back.
but you know something I didn't realize and you probably know this, when I drive to the paint, I yell. So when I drive, I'm like, hey, wow.
Yeah.
But over here in Germany, that is technically flopping. So every single game I played in so far, the ref would be like, hey, number 4, you got to watch out for the flopping. I'm like, flopping. And something is because it's something with my body. And I said to him, like, how am I flopping? And he says, because you're yelling when you drive. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. I'm
That's
not gonna
crazy.
stop doing that.
Because I seen Dennis Schroeder do it the other day, and now it's a problem. Okay.
Okay, but where's Dennis Schroeder from though? Remember? He's from here. So what's
My
going
point.
on? But yeah, physically I'm good, brother. Mentally I'm great. Spiritually, like you said, man, the Most High, God never fails. He's always perfect, always on time, always has our best interests. So knowing that, I keep him first, and that makes me at a 10. Emotionally, I'm steady, man. Even keel, just not too high, not too low. I'm present in the moment. I'm a little happy right now though, because we're on our doing our podcast. But besides that, I'm steady, baby.
I love to hear.
But speaking of being steady though, Dre, there is something I wanted to talk to you about real quick. It's something that I've learned from this book that I've been reading for the past couple of weeks, and it's called Ikigai. Do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea. Can you please explain it to me?
So Ikigai is basically the the Japanese word for steadiness and finding purpose in your life. And the book talks about, I actually have the book right here. We normally don't do free promo, guys, but this is such a great book.
100%.
But basically, this book talks about how to find your Ikigai or your purpose in your life. And it talks about you have to find activities or spaces in your life that allow you to get to a flow state. And flow state is just it's the pleasure, delight, the creativity and process when we are completely immersed in our life. And so that looks different for different people. So like for you, Dre, your flow state might be when you play basketball. And so for someone else, their flow state might be when they're painting or drawing, or even when they're teaching. So our flow state is different. Our our Kiga is different for each person. Um, and I thought that was pretty interesting because so oftentimes we think about, okay, how can we find purpose in our life? And I think when we can find things that make us happy or make us get into that flow state, then it allows us to quote unquote find that purpose in life again. But something that this book also talks about is that when you're in your ikigai or your flow state, it also is centered around service to others. And that's something that me and you talk about all the time. That like that in this life, it's not about what we can get for ourselves, but how we can give it to others. And that's what it, this life is really about. And it talks about in this book that your ikigai is, where you have your flow state and where you can monetize off of your flow state, but also how you can serve others. And I think that's just like the perfect encapsulation for how we should live life, man. Like, less about, yes, you want to get paid for your gifts and your talents, but really how can you serve others with your gifts and your talent while still being in that flow state manner? So it just maybe really made me shift my perspective about life. And um I thought this is something we talk about all the time, and I thought it was really interesting, man.
No, it is interesting. I love it actually. I'll say I might have to get that book,
I'm gonna send it to you, man. I'm gonna send it to you.
learn my flow state.
Yeah, and quick other thing, but it's just that it's something that is so simple, man. But I think once you find it and you really tap into it, man, it's okay to cherish things we're passionate about. Like this generation today is so like almost too cool for school, man. Like it's okay to care about stuff.
Hey, you know how I feel about being too cool for something.
I mean, no.
I now that I'm older, I can't stand it. So I 100% understand what you're saying.
I just Are we turning into the old man on our
No,
yard?
no, no, no. We're
Okay,
not there yet. We're getting there. We're not there yet, though.
okay,
We're
okay,
not hater. We're not in our hater era yet. We're not there
okay,
yet.
okay. 'Cause I always tell myself if we get there, then we have to stop. We have to. But I just think that, if we can truly chase that purpose, chase that flow state, then I think that really puts us in more blessed situations, man. So it's okay to find that passion. It's okay to be passionate about stuff, guys. So just remember that. But Dre, let's transition to some unfortunate news that came out in the NBA about a week ago now, and that's with the season-ending injury to Kyrie Irving. Uh, Dre, what does this mean not just for Kyrie Irving, but for Dallas, um, and both of their futures? What does this mean for them?
Honestly, I think it's probably one of the sadder things in the NBA, like storyline wise.
Hmm.
Kyrie was having a phenomenal year individually.
Hmm.
Going through some injuries here and there, it's gonna happen. He's one of the guys that he's known as a guard that when he plays, he's electric. He's great, but he comes with the baggage of he does get hurt. And I hate that it was his knee, especially. I think that's the second time he's had a knee injury.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and at that point, it was also his ACL, which people don't realize. Like people say, oh, with the technology now, it you can come back faster. You can come back in 5 months. I'm like, yeah, but it's not necessarily like the physical part of it. Like physically, you're probably stronger. Your leg's probably stronger than it was before. All of that. It's the mental part of it. Like, do you trust your body to make that cut? Do you trust yourself to make that one-legged jump? Do
Mhm.
you like just stuff like that? And that's the stuff that people don't really plan on, or that they can't really account for because sometimes it may take like after 5 months, and you're cleared to play, it may take another 5 months to like mentally actually get there and be like, okay.
Mhm.
And in the NBA, it's all about being alpha. Like you have to have that alpha dog mentality because you're
Mhm.
one of what 400 people in the world.
Yeah.
So you have to have that mentality. But I think for Dallas now, this is essentially the end of their season for the year. It was before, but it really ends. And then moving forward, they, I think for Kyrie especially, he's looking for a long-term deal because I think this will be his last big contract. Um, and I don't think that I think that Dallas gives it to him, but simply off the fact of what he's done for the last 2 years.
Mhm.
Plus, they think that he'll probably by the end of his contract, he'll probably want to retire.
Well, that leads me into my next question, Dre. Is retirement on the table for Kyrie Irving after this injury?
Do you think after this year he's done?
Is it a pop? I believe it's. Go ahead. What do you think?
I don't think so, no, because he's still putting up averages of 25 a game,
Hmm.
but 25, 5, 5 and 5 on 48% shooting from the field. So that's all-star numbers. Um, Granted, it'll be a dip. He'll probably average like 20 next year, just like I said, just to get used to his body again. But I think that he'll be fine. I think he could because he's a shooter. Like he's not primarily, and he's a below the rim finisher. Like he's not a
Hmm.
highlight guy that's gonna like go dunk it every single time. He's a below the rim finisher, so he knows how to adjust. I think that he'll still play another like 4 or 5 years, and that's in my opinion. I think he could. I think he can. Will he? I think that's more so just on his mental and who trusts him.
And well, that kind of leads me to what I was going to say, Dre. There's no question that physically Kyrie is capable of bouncing back from his injury based on his play style. Like I said, he plays below the rim, but he's so skilled, he doesn't really rely on his athleticism, or he doesn't have to. So his injury is similar to those a different injury when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles and he came back and he looked better in some places in terms of his efficiency and his shooting and his skill set than he did before he tore his Achilles. Because Kyrie's the same way, he didn't really rely on his athleticism or his skill set. He can still be efficient and still be productive. But mentally, does Kyrie still want to play? Kyrie is someone that, despite what the media has tried to portray him as, he's someone that is very articulate, and he has many other interests and avenues outside of basketball. And could we see Kyrie perhaps tell himself that he's accomplished everything that he's wanted to as a basketball player, and perhaps start to transition to life outside of basketball?
And another thing with that, he also, I'm pretty sure he tore his left knee, and he's a right-handed player, so that'd be his jumping knee. Um, Kevin Durant tore his right foot. He's a right-handed player, so it's not his jumping foot.
Good point.
But uh, I still think I'm heartbroken that it happened to him, especially for this year.
Hmm.
But I think that he does make that comeback. Their team this whole year has just been awful, like riddled with injuries.
Yes.
Every guy on that team has been out for more than probably 10 games.
I mean, look at Anthony Davis. He didn't even play one game, and he got hurt. And by the way, that kind of leads me to this next question for you, Dre. Is it possible that Anthony Davis could only play one game in Dallas? Just one game? And could he
You
be
think they'll
gone?
skip him?
Yeah. Is it
Really?
possible that Anthony Davis could be gone during this offseason?
I mean, by what I've been hearing about their plans, like what their real motives are, maybe. But I also think that you still gotta want to be competitive. Like and guys like AD aren't coming every year in the draft, so you got to keep him. Now, do I think that he'll play 65, 70 games next year? No, I do not think so. Do I think that they'll keep him? Yes. They have to justify their Luka trade. They just have to. Oh, different thoughts. Okay.
I think I believe it's a very real possibility that Anthony Davis is not with Dallas at the beginning of next season. And unfortunately, it just makes the Luka trade look that much worse for Dallas because now you don't really get a return on investment. So you almost have to trade away AD to get some sort of compensation, some draft picks or something to at least break even.
Hey man, you right for 30 and AD's only 33, 32. That's not old. But he's been so injured, man. It's a lot. I think for right now they could probably get some picks, but I don't know where he would go that necessarily needs a oh no, I'll take that back. Everybody needs a shot blocker. Any team would pick him up off just immediately.
Yeah. Maybe Sacramento could be an option, perhaps.
Too many too many guards on that team, too many guys that play the same position. They have nothing but small forwards and power forwards over there. So that could be a destination.
Houston, maybe.
If you haven't had a chance to watch Houston, I really like their core group of guys. Like I love the top one of the Thompson twins. Like I really like him.
You do. You speak very highly of him. That you do.
I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah. Uh, well, Dre, speaking of other teams in the Western Conference, the Lake. I first of all, I hate that we are doing this, but we're gonna have to talk about the Lakers today, man, on the on this episode. But are the Lakers
No, you know I'm gonna
the
say
best
no.
team?
Oh, the best team in the West is there's a couple teams that I can look I want to put it before the Lakers. One's the Thunder because I think SGA again, I think he should have won MVP last year, but he's having an MVP season this year. And
But Dre,
just
is he really having a better season than Jokic?
no, no.
So why
But
is SGA your MVP now?
because Jokic won it last year and they're gonna make up for SGA not winning it last year.
Okay. But
Uh
unbiasedly, you do think that Jokic should.
yeah, because I think what Jokic is doing, he's averaging a triple double, but just the numbers he's putting up are video game numbers that we may never actually see another guy like this, which is crazy to say. I never thought I'd say that about Jokic, but I
Mhm.
don't know if we'll ever see another big like that.
I don't want to get too off topic, but why is it do you think that perhaps the public isn't appreciating what Jokic is doing right now?
Because people, I'll say it like this. If you put a Laker uniform on him right now, where do you think he'd be ranked top 25 ever? What number?
Just put him in a Lakers uniform
Just put him
and
in a Laker uniform and don't have all those accolades he's done and accomplished.
oh, top 15?
He might be top 5 if he was in a Laker uniform.
Sure,
He might be considered a top 5 big man. Like he might be considered the top 2 big men of all time.
sure. Yeah.
I just think it's purely because he's in Denver
Mhm.
and people don't appreciate it enough. But man, like watching him, I've seen him play in like an actual person now a couple times.
Mhm.
He's every bit as advertised. I think he had one game, the last game I went to go watch him, he kind of struggled, but he's every bit as advertised like how good he is, man. Like he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he may have the best touch I've ever seen in a big.
Ever.
Yeah, that's a he has he has Kyrie's type of touch around the rim, and I've never seen that like in a big.
Mhm. Do you think that Denver is wasting Jokic's prime years?
No, I think they're tooling. Like this year, I think they actually have a chance to come out the West. Last year, I thought they would. I think they just got just because of how the seeding went, and then matching up with the Timberwolves last year, that kind of messed them up. But I think this year they have a real chance to come out the West. I just don't think the Lakers are big enough, and I don't think the Thunder are old enough yet.
Mm. That's surprising to hear, Dre, because you've spoken so highly of the Thunder from the very beginning of the season.
Yeah, I said that I think they have the chance to actually win it all, but after watching them, there are some things that I have a concern about, like the fact that SGA is required to do so much.
Hmm.
The fact that if and I even think about this, like if I think the Lakers match up with the Thunder, say like second round, I think the Lakers can knock them off.
Really? So you think there's some validity to the recent success that the Lakers have been having?
Yeah, just because I like how I didn't think that it would work so fast, the Bron and Luca thing, but it's working out really fast. And they're really good, but they don't have a big. They're big, they have big wings. Don't get me wrong, like they have 6'9", 6'10" wings. And I
Mhm.
don't think they're under I think the only guy that plays that's under 6'5" is Gabe Vincent, and he comes off the bench. But
That's
everyone else is what, 6'6" and taller?
How tall is Austin Reeves?
I think 6'6".
Okay, taller guard, yeah.
And so they're big, like just big on the wings.
Is there any concern for you with LeBron's recent injury?
Yeah, that kind of concerns me. So I want to see how Luca plays for the next couple games without LeBron.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I will say, like he looks absolutely amazing, by the way, too. He came
Luka.
in, Luca came in, he assimilated himself, like he put his imprint on the team. The only thing that I was really concerned about was him playing defense, but again, that was he's never been a great defender
Yeah.
since he's been in the league. So it's that there's nothing wrong with that.
And also playing defense is something he's never been asked to do, even from his rookie season. And that's why I felt like he got a little bit of a bad flack from the Dallas organization. How can you tell someone who's 24, 25, right in the middle of his prime to suddenly have to start doing something to his game? Oh, now you have to play defense, but you've already paid me exuberant amount of money when I wasn't. It's hard to 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 have that perspective. So if you're going
It
to keep
is.
someone accountable, you have to keep them accountable from the very beginning. And go ahead.
No. I agree with you 100%. The only thing that I kind of want to say like I just don't think physically he can move around that well, even though with the ball in his hands, he's a magician. But sometimes physically, when he has to guard those quicker guards, like I think he does need to lose some weight. But I don't think it's how Dallas was making him seem like he was nearly 300 pounds. No.
Um,
I think it's legit just because of like he's put on so much muscle and everything like that, probably from the fact of like I remember seeing Luca when he was very thin and playing when he first came in the NBA.
yeah, but and also, Dre, I know we didn't get to talk about this on our show, but we talked about it off the air. I know that that was the excuse that Dallas put out that Luca wasn't in shape and he wasn't doing these things on the court that they were asking of him. I don't believe any of that. There has to be something else that was going on behind the scenes that caused them to want to trade Luca. That has, in my perspective, it has nothing to do with basketball. It has
No,
nothing to do with basketball at all,
no,
whatsoever. And you know, I, you just got to call it how it is, and I just don't. There's just no way you're not. I
there's
don't
no,
think too
it's
deep into
true. No,
conspiracy theory, but it's just I don't believe that. I don't believe any of that.
no.
That.
But back home, I still think that there's only three. I think there's legit. three or four teams that have a chance. And you know, one I'm always gonna root for my Warriors, but you
Well, that
know,
will look how they've been playing since they've acquired Jimmy Butler. They're playing much better. Do you think they have a legitimate chance of Golden State Warriors of making a deep run in the
we,
playoffs?
we need a shot blocker. As much as I love Draymond Green, and I absolutely am the biggest fan.
Hmm.
He's if he were 30, if he were 30 again, I'd be like, yeah, we're good. We can win with post and have a chance, but I just don't think that once we get done and we're down in the dirty and we play the Lakers or the Thunder or even the like the Nuggets especially, there's just no one we can have that can stop that one big that's gonna go get 45 and 15 on us. It's not possible.
You know, Dre, speaking of talented teams and teams that we think can be successful or, have come out the West. Phil Jackson had this formula for how to predict if a team is truly great or not. And the formula was if a team gets to 40 wins before they get to 20 losses, then they're a legitimate team, legitimate great team. And one of those teams that we haven't talked about yet that got to 40 wins before 20 losses was the Memphis Grizzlies. So,
But have you watched? My thing is the eye test. I kind of take it like how football does it. Tape doesn't lie. In the
mm,
eye test and watching them, it's not as. I don't think Memphis basketball is gonna be pretty at all anyway. But the eye test after watching them is like I you just don't I don't feel it.
okay. Mm, I want to ask you about one more team before we move on. LA Clippers, currently 35 and 29, number eight in the Western Conference. James Harden's been playing tremendously these past couple of games.
Yeah,
He just had a 50-point game 2 games ago, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
What's their ceiling? What's the Clippers ceiling?
Depending on the matchup, like say they drop to like they get the 8 seed and they play the Thunder first off.
Hmm.
I think they'll push them to a point. But and like the thing is they have I don't know what it is about the Clippers,
Hmm.
but they have some of the most elite role players, like really good role players that play so well. And then once it comes to the playoffs, Kawhi's out. Well, this is before, but Kawhi will be out, Paul George will be out, and then everyone's role would 100 will just all of a sudden just change, and it's like, okay, what can we do now? What do we have? Like, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
This is the first year where I'm like, if they get the right matchup, man, and I think it's like I said, I think the playoffs is all about matchups. They get the right matchup, I think I think they'll be fine.
I I think it is based upon the matchups too, Trey. The thing that worries me about the Clippers is just their health. I mean, right now, Ben Simmons is out. Um, Norman Powell is out. Uh, and there was another player's out too, but they're just decimated with injuries right now, and for them, it's just about getting healthy.
But that's an every year thing for them. Every year it's been like that since they acquired Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Do you think it's enough of just? I will say that James Harden looks so much better now. He looks so much better now than he did last year, even the year before. Do you think that's enough with James Harden and Kawhi to
No.
be sick?
Hard
Yeah.
29-year-old Harden, yes.
Hmm.
35-year-old Harden, no. 34-year-old Harden, no. I do
No.
not think it's enough. It's not enough like playing that style of basketball. It's not enough movement, it's not enough going on. Like it's just hard buckets every single time.
And even with the additions of other playmakers like Chris Dunn, it the ball still seems to stick. It still
Yeah,
sticks. And
it's just a Harden effect.
yeah, it's surprising for me to see Kawhi still be so efficient with that
Yeah.
play
And
style.
I will say this, Harden, if you ever look, almost every year, he always has a game where he'll like he just does not look focused and it's not working out and he coughs the ball up. I think he has the playoff record for most turnovers in a single game.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was like 13 or something like that. Because I watched him when he played the Warriors. He had like a 12 turnover game. Like it was crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, let's look at that stat. Let's see what we have with that. So I didn't know I didn't know he had the record for most turnovers in a playoff game.
It was like it was something crazy. Yep, on the verge of limit, Harden set the record with 13.
Was it in an elimination game?
I think so. Against the Warriors.
2018.
I want to 2015 actually. That's what it was. It was 2015
Oh,
game.
Western Conference Finals. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I remember the game because I was like, oh my God, we just beat them. And he had 14. I was like, dang, he had 13 turnovers. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Wow. That series went 5 games or 6 games?
I think five.
Okay. I do remember. Wow. 2015. That was the year you guys got your first chip.
Yeah. He had 12 turnovers. And
Wow.
then who do you think was second on that list? It's gonna
Russ.
make you,
Russ.
huh?
Russ.
Nope.
No. Oof. Uh,
Luka Doncic with 11. Who I think he's Harden 2.0.
Okay, we said that before. Okay, what
Yeah.
um was it when they lost to the Clippers or when they lost to Boston?
When that was in 2017, it had to be the Clippers.
20
Oh no, it was in 2020.
Clippers.
Yep, Clippers.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh, that was the bubble. That was the
Yep.
bubble. Yeah, that's when Lakers won that bubble championship.
Now we don't count they chip. That's a count. We don't discriminate chips.
Except that one.
No, we do not discriminate chips. They want it.
Big
Jesus.
asterisk next to it.
Oh, that's a hater. That's some hate.
Wait, Trey, but okay, wait. I want to transition a little bit. Speaking of things that perhaps neither of us can really hate on, um, let's talk about this Myles Garrett extension. The exuberant amount of money that Myles Garrett is about to get paid.
Pay that man. Pay him. He's worth every penny. But I will say, I said off the rip as soon as I seen he was available, I said, man, Niners, go get him. We will trade y'all Bosa and a pick for him. Please give us him.
So, Miles, for those who don't know, Myles Garrett got a 4 year, Dre, right? $123 million extension, which means he's going to get paid $40 million a year. Dre, I mean, my my only question for you is, does this make Cleveland any better?
No, no, you know it doesn't make Cleveland any better. They don't have a quarterback. They overpaid. They overpaid for Deshaun Watson, who they're probably going to cut, but they're going to have to pay him, or they're going to keep him on the bench. Um, they paid their tight end. They paid their offensive line. They paid Nick Chubb, I'm pretty sure already,
Yeah.
and I think he's locked in for the next couple years. Like they've overpaid nearly everyone, but they had to pay Myles Garrett, who's been the most consistent player on their team.
And I'll say that I don't think they overpaid for Myles Garrett.
No, they didn't overpay for him. He's
He's worth
just,
every penny.
yeah, he's worth every single penny.
Yeah. And you know, Drew, and this is something you said during uh during the season on our live shows on Instagram. You said that you thought that Myles Garrett was the best defensive player in the NFL. And I wasn't ready to agree with you on that, but I think over the course of the season, he showed that he was.
He commands triple teams. He can't be blocked single-handedly. No matter who you put him on, you throw him on any left tackle one on one. He's beating them. That includes Lane Johnson. That includes Trent.
Yeah.
Even though those two are the best, they're the two best left tackles in the league.
Yeah.
But you still got to shade towards them and give some help.
Yeah. Yep. And I agree with you, Dre. If you're Myles Garrett, it's hard to pass up an extension like that. I know he was
Yeah.
threatening holding out, but I don't think holding out was ever perhaps really an option. I think he knew the whole time that Cleveland was going to be willing to make that extension. And the friction that was being reported between him and the owner of the Cleveland Browns, I don't think that was entirely true. I think it was just a narrative that needed to be perpetuated to justify Cleveland giving him that big extension. But I think it's worth that. Like I said, I think it's worth every penny Myles Garrett is for that extension. But Dre, I want to talk about some other breaking news real quick that came out recently. DK Metcalf is matched back up with your boy Russell Wilson. Let's ride
Allegedly.
over in
Allegedly.
Pittsburgh.
Allegedly. We don't know if Russ will be there. He'll allegedly be there.
Russ is gonna be in Philly. I mean, in Pittsburgh, man.
Man, I've seen reports of Aaron Rodgers. I've seen Justin Fields, who also just signed with the Jets, 2 year for 20.
Yeah, yep,
But
sure did.
allegedly he'll be there. And DK, I think, has had some of his best numbers with Russ, so it would make sense. But that team needs a whole different thing. They got a battle line. I think they're not necessarily the linebackers are struggling, but they had some receiver play that was kind of iffy at times.
Mhm,
Running back play would be kind of iffy. Their run game wouldn't always be there, wouldn't show up for them.
mhm.
So here's my thing. I will say this with DK Metcalf getting that trade and then getting his extension, George Pickens, if you do not comply with what is going on, they'll franchise tag him and not pay him, or they're going to cut him. Um, you don't give somebody 150 million and say you're wide receiver two. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, man. So you think there's a legitimate chance they could cut Pickens?
Bro, yes. If I just don't think especially NFL is not generous at all. NFL owners are not generous about paying players.
Yeah.
They will cut Pickens quickly if they feel like it.
So he would just go down a long list of troubled Steelers players that had to be sent off because of their attitude.
Bro, they're okay with it, man. I'm telling you.
I tell you what, they sure know how to find talent, but they don't the mental evaluation for some of these players, man. Pittsburgh is failing
We
tremendously.
tripping.
And it's all the wide receiver position, man.
Bro, I don't know like their DBs are usually fine. They're locked in. Like quarterbacks are usually, well, man, somewhat, his
Yeah.
troubled history. But uh their defensive players always locked in, always good, like locked in.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, Dre, and I'll ask you the same question I asked you about the Myles Garrett situation. I mean, extension, sorry. With this DK Metcalf trade, does this make Pittsburgh the best team in the AFC North?
No. You know what I'm still gonna say? I'm still gonna go with either Cincinnati or with Lamar in the bunch
You are
out at
still riding with Cincinnati even after we saw this
you.
past.
I will say this: you did pick them to not make the playoffs, and I was like, "Oh, he's tripping," and they did make the playoffs. But I'll say this as well: I think they're gonna have a better year this year than last year.
Sure.
Um, I do think that the Ravens still win the AFC North, but I think Cincinnati comes in like a close second.
I mean, if you're Baltimore, are you concerned that your championship window is closing? Remember we said the same. I said the same thing about Buffalo. I thought that their championship window was closed, but they made it to the they had a great run in the playoffs. But if you're Baltimore,
Oh,
are you
oh
concerned
no.
that your window's closed? Okay.
Lamar's play what, 10 years?
No, I think this is his. seventh or
See, I'm not even
eighth.
close.
Yeah, seventh.
Seventh or eighth year. He can play probably because he's opened up his passing game and he's looked great doing that. He can probably play until probably like year 15. And his arm doesn't look like it's given out at any point in time either. He's got a strong arm, man. Like I actually think that he's got a lot of touch, a lot more touch now,
Hmm.
but he's got a really good arm. And with the salary cap going up, I think that his contract right now, and they've like locked him in for what, 5, 6 years.
Hmm.
I think that they've made the right decision with him.
Lamar Jackson's biggest downfall is that he plays in the same conference as Patrick Mahomes. I
That's it. That's literally it.
believe it's just that simple.
That's literally just it.
For me, it's that simple too, man. But very interesting stuff going on in the NFL. Quite early. But Dre, I will say this: Jalen Milroe from Alabama had a very great pro day and a very great showing
Did he?
at the combine. So, hey, Jalen Milroe may be added to the list of great Alabama quarterbacks to play in the NFL and be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So,
I
one for
I
him.
love to see all black quarterbacks make it, and I hope that's true. But what I've heard of Alabama fans and from Alabama fans watching him, they may have a different opinion. But they also said the same thing about Jalen Hurts, and I'd see how that turned out. So
You took the word right out of my mouth, brother.
yeah. But
So,
Hurts he's not an Alabama guy. He's an Oklahoma guy.
no, I'm not going to let you do that.
He's an Oklahoma guy. Where did he have his best numbers? Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Did he not go to the Final Four with Oklahoma? I just want to make sure.
he he
Want to
he
know.
he led Alabama to two national championships. One, lost the other.
Sean, he didn't play in the second half.
No one
He's an Oklahoma guy. He's an OU guy.
forever an Oklahoma guy.
He is an OU guy. He graduated from the University of Oklahoma.
That's like saying Joe Burrow is a Ohio State guy, even though he was.
No, 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 no. Joe Burrow was at LSU for 2 years. Well, he had his best season at LSU. Where do you come out of college at? LSU. He's an LSU guy.
Listen, in my mind, when Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, as an Alabama fan, we won the
Oh
national
my
championship.
God. You
So
did it. Y'all don't get that. Just because he did well, y'all don't get that. Y'all got Tua. That's who y'all guy is.
we got two of our guy and
Yeah,
Mac
Tua's
Jones.
y'all guy.
By osmosis, we won, brother, and I'm gonna take it. But Dre, speaking of college sports, let's transition to women's college basketball. Um, who do you so conference championships have just ended.
Yeah.
In the ACC, uh, Duke pulled off the upset, defeating NC State, and they also
Yes,
knocked off
man.
Notre Dame on their way to the ACC championship. South Carolina defeated Texas in the excuse me, SEC, in the SEC tournament, and if I'm not mistaken, UCLA
They
uh
beat
won
USC.
to beat
They beat
USC.
USC in the second half. Nearly out rebounded them. I forgot the big girl's name. I think she had a monster
Lauren
game.
Betts,
Yeah, against Kiki. And
area
Kiki,
offense.
in my opinion, has it's probably if she is she a junior or a senior?
She is a senior.
Okay, if she were in next year's class, Kiki, in my opinion, would go number one
If
or
she
top
was,
three if she was in next year's class. But uh, we all know who the number one pick is going to be this year.
and I have a lot of, and this is where we're kind of going with this, Dre. Who
Yeah.
do you who do you think has been the best player in women's college basketball?
To me, the best player is still I'm gonna go with the youngin, Juju, but there could be you could say that I think Haley Van Lith had an amazing year as well.
By the way, yeah, they just knocked off Baylor to win,
Yeah,
but no one's
she had
talking about
an
it. Yes.
she had an amazing year. She had commanded double teams the whole time.
Yep.
She found her girls in the right spots. She set players up at the right times. Like she had a great year. And
Mhm.
she had a great game. She only had 20, but she still had a great game.
Yeah.
I did like the girls from Notre Dame. I can't remember. I'm sorry, I'm bad with
Those are
names,
my
but
girls, Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles, man.
Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles, great backcourt, great tandem. Rat, kind of shocking how much they actually sit down and play defense, but
Mhm.
they're really good at just like one. I think they're pretty good at defense and their individual defense necessarily. And I think Olivia Miles is a starting point guard, right?
Yeah, they have Olivia playing the one and Hannah playing the two.
Okay. Olivia does a great job controlling the game, and she
Mhm.
did a great job setting people up. Also, she's really good at time and score. So she knew when to push, she knew when to kind of hold it. I think she's the best. I think she's one of the top three point guards in women's college basketball. But I still think Paige Beckers is man, the way I seen them beat up on South Carolina was extremely shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Paige and Fudd were just going absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, Fudd had a career night and Paige played amazing as well. But also, we have to remember that South Carolina was just finishing off a gruesome schedule in which they had to play LSU and Texas, and they were coming off a very difficult part of the schedule, not making excuses for them at all. Um, because UConn did was something that no other team had been able to do for the past 4 years, and that's beat South Carolina at home. So I'm taking nothing away from that. However, I want to give credit to, like you just said, Olivia Miles. Dre, and I've been saying this for the past 3 years now. Olivia Miles is the best player in women's college basketball, man.
You've been saying that.
And I just because the way she controls tempo and pace and her the impact she has just with her passing alone, I'm not saying that she has the talent level of a Magic Johnson, but the way she can impact the game through just her passing is very similar to Magic Johnson and also to like a Jason Kidd. And her shooting has gotten so much better. She's shooting 40% from the three-point line this year, which is a huge jump from 27, which she was shooting previously. And I believe her game is going to translate well to the WNBA. But because she plays next to Hannah Hidalgo,
You'll be overlooked a little bit.
she will be overlooked a little bit. Yes. And if you
And
have to ask me, I think that Olivia is the best player and the best point guard in women's college basketball right now. And the second best point guard, not best player, best point guard in women's college basketball is Georgia Amore out of Kentucky.
fire. She's so good.
And I'm so glad that because we saw her at Virginia Tech for the last 4 years, but Virginia Tech being the ACC, not really a big program in comparison to schools in the SEC. Now she's playing in the SEC, a little bit of a bigger stage. People are now finally starting to get to see her play, and she looks so much better. And she's doing this against top level talent, the best talent perhaps in the country. And her draft stock is rising. I mean, they listed her as the 11th best prospect coming into the draft, but there's no question in my mind she's a top five player in this
You
year's
think
draft.
she's top five? I think Kiki goes top five. Obviously, I think Olivia will go, but I think they're fearing that she has some limitations to her game. But at 5'10" as a point guard on the women's side, that's a big guard.
Big guard, man. Yeah. And
It's a
then we
big
haven't even talked about Tahina Pau
yeah.
out
Pow
of
Pow's having a great year, but to me, their team overall is just having a great year.
yeah, yeah. And I have been saying throughout the year that South Carolina and Notre Dame were the two best teams, but both those teams have been a little bit inconsistent. And we say inconsistent, but both of the teams only have 3 losses on the season. So what does that really mean? But I think those are two best teams in college basketball right now, I
Th-
think.
This might be the first time that we have no idea who's actually going to win it all this year.
Yeah, I can't confidently say that South Carolina is the prohibited favorite the way I could last year. But I think this is good for women's college basketball. The fact there's so much parity, there's so much talent. And I feel like we've said this for the past 2 years that this is the most talent that I've seen in women's college basketball at one time.
Uh, yeah, but I also think it's now getting put on a spotlight more. And I'll say this too.
Spotlight, yeah.
They have a better marketing than the WNBA. They know how to market their games way more, and they know how to market their players way better as well.
Mhm. And Dre, I do want to ask you a quick question real quick, and I'm not trying to make a comparison, but perhaps more of an observation because you perhaps watch more men's college basketball than I do, no question about
Yeah.
it. Why is the men's college basketball not getting as much publicity and marketing as women's college basketball?
Um, well, it depends. It's partially because of the bigger names that guys are I guess you could say are doing well this year. Like the Dukes, the Carolina's not doing as well. Kansas isn't as good this year. Kentucky's decent this year. They're pretty good, but they've been losing. Like the usual blue bloods aren't necessarily the true powerhouses this year, and there's a lot more not necessarily parity to women's, but it just seems like this year it's like if you can throw any SEC team and you can pick them to win, and that's who people are going with. So and
Mhm.
people, like I said before, I don't think people naturally like the SEC because of how proud they are, proud SEC guards, proud like SEC fans as a whole.
Yeah,
Um, but I think this year, I think it's more about the women's game than it is the men's, just because of just how exciting and refreshing it is to see people play.
yeah, yeah. I think you bring up a good point, Dre. And could it also be that, we talked about, I've been talking about Olivia Miles for the past 3 years. The fact that these players in women's college basketball are staying multiple years
Yeah,
in college,
yeah,
could that play a factor in it also?
yeah. But I also think that that's now going to be a thing for the men's.
Okay.
People may not realize it, but for the men's now, people are kind of looking at it now. It's like, all right, if I'm not a first round pick, or if I'm not a lottery pick, or if I'm not a first round, or if I'm not off the board early in the second round, what's the point of me going? I'll probably make just as much if I stay in college another year.
Hmm.
And now I think that's creating like a little bit of a backlog.
Mm.
Usually guys will try and get out by their second, third year, or even their first. Now it's like, oh, I'd rather stay and make
Mm.
5, 6 million and then go. So, you know, then rather than having to go and sit in the G League, I can just be playing, and I can be playing on a big stage and getting
Point.
more
Wow.
exposure and notice now.
Hmm.
I think NIL has opened up for men's college, but it's also getting a little gross too with how some people are going about it. Like people are only playing to like people are jumping ship every year.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
getting a little bit to that point too.
we could do a whole show just on the inability to establish culture now in college sports because of NIL. We could do a
Yeah.
whole show just on that topic alone, but we'll leave it at that. I don't want to, I digress. I don't want to get too deep into that, but you're right, Dre. You're right. But Dre, I do want to say one more thing. There's two other players, both in for Notre Dame, who I think are going to be drafted in the top 10. Sonia Citron and Maddie Westbell. Sonia Citron is probably the best two-way player in women's college basketball. And Maddie Westbell is going to be a great stretch forward in women's college or in the WNBA. And I promise you guys, I'm not on the payroll at Notre Dame at all. I just
He's on the payroll. He's on the PR team right now.
Neil Ivy's paying me under the books, man. But no, seriously, man, Notre Dame has a lot of great talent, man, and it'll be very, very unfortunate if they don't capitalize on this and at least get to the Final Four. And I'll just leave it at that. But Dre, I think that is it. Do you have any shout outs we want to give before we
Yeah, shout out to everybody for watching this. Shout out to you, Kashawn, always my dog. And Shout out to my guy Caleb. He also on the live show watches us, and he
Yeah.
100% wants to play Kashawn one-on-one in basketball. My guy cannot move, but he cannot move as laterally as quickly as he could when he's younger. But he is like, I just got to do it.
When I get back stateside, me and Caleb are gonna play one on one,
What
man.
about you, Kashawn? Any shout outs?
Dre, shout out to you, man. You know, I love you, brother. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else, man. I'm just blessed to have you in this partnership, man. And shout out to the fans because without them, none of this is possible. And shout out to God, man, because again, without him, none of this is possible. And I'm just blessed to be on this path and station in life. And hopefully I can continue to serve others, man, one day at a time. But I'm just blessed, man. So I'm steady, man. Just I'm being present in the moment, man. I love it.
Absolutely love it.
But Dre, I think that is it. Listen, it's 2 o'clock in the morning over here in
Yeah, you
Germany.
got to get some sleep, man.
I'm going to get some sleep. But guys, that being said, that's it for our show. If you hadn't already, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and on Patreon and on Spotify and everywhere you can find podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram as well. And for our newest merch, be sure to check out our website as well, www.sorrytobotheryouLLC.com. I think that's it, guys. Until then, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.